The desert believer will be left in the desert without anything to sustain him. You see, the desert believer is the one who only wants sweetness, only sugar. Hence, you become a diabetic follower. And you know what diabetes does? Wrecks and destroys your body. Eventually, you lose your limbs. You have to be amputated because you are a desert believer. There was a time when people would go into a church service in America, all prettied up, smelling good, hair fixed and coiffed, tie straight. And when they left that church at the end of the service, hair was messed up, jacket was off, tie unraveled. They looked disheveled. Something happened in that service. The praises of God, they were moving, they were dancing, exalting God, like the ancient people of the book that you read. They didn't just sit like they were listening to a lecture. They were physically involved, knees on the ground, face planted in prayer, celebration. It was worship. Nobody was wearing tight clothes, exposing their details of their body. Nobody was dancing with women. They were men that were dancing together with men in praise to God. This wasn't about a band on a stage. It wasn't about hearing something to make you feel good. That wasn't the purpose. The purpose of going to hear the priest, the message, was for your sin. You went with solemnity. You were solemn. In fact, you may have been melancholy. But you could walk out feeling that your sins were amended for and that you were rebuked, which is a good thing, corrected. Problem was identified like a diagnostic with the doctor. You knew what you had to do when you left, hearing or in fellowship, in that outer court. You knew what you had to fix, what you had to go back to doing, because it wasn't about dessert. Now we have morphed it and transpirited it, remade it into something of our own liking. And so now when you hear someone that claims to be a man of God, if someone speaks to you, you're not happy unless you end that conversation with feeling good about yourself. And that is not the way. It is not about feeling good about you. It's about having the right thoughts about God and His Word and how it applies to you. It's not about someone lifting your self-esteem. It's about esteeming Adonai, the Lord, lifting up His name, making His picture bigger in your eyes, not a painting on your wall, not a sports paraphernalia on your desk, some signed baseball or surfboard or basketball. No. Those are the idols you have replaced Adonai with. He is supposed to be getting larger in your view, not your financial portfolio. He is supposed to be engaged in your imagination, not to usurp His authority, but to realize His priority in your life so that you can become more like what He created you to be. Your purpose and your function, to glorify Adonai. And how do you glorify Him? In your life. The way you live, the way you love, the way you give, the way you sacrifice, the way you work, the way you walk, the way you sing, Anything other than that, you might as well serve the devil, because it has nothing to do with the Lord. It's not cake and ice cream, pats on the head, shoulder rubs, back rubs, and any other kind of rub. It's the Lord in our fallen state, divining to remake us into what we were intended to be. Because we are pretty messed up with the cancer of sin. And it has metastasized in every aspect of our environment, and it's in every part of our body down to the marrow of the bone. It's bone cancer, it's pancreas cancer, it's lung cancer, it's brain cancer, it's mouth cancer, it's skin cancer. It's everywhere. And only through the blood, the power, the Torah of the Lord are we able to manage a life under constant spiritual chemotherapy. But when you're not engaged in community with someone or some people, when you're not in fellowship, when you make no time and take no time for your spirit, you cannibalize yourselves because you want nothing but dessert. And you will lose your limbs and your life. And you may even lose your soul. But that's been your choice. You know who you are and you know how you're living. You know what you hate. And there's no greater hate I have seen in recent days than those who hate God and hate who God sends them and hates the words of the Lord. There's a hate, an emotional resistance and rebellion. And it has nothing to do with your wife or your husband or your children or who's in the White House. It has to do with what's in your house. And I'm not talking about brick and mortar. I'm talking about the house of your body, the tabernacle that you were created to be. But you've abandoned that and left it dilapidated, and squandered it, instead of renovating it or destroying it and building a new one. Because you want the dessert and not the main course. The dessert will leave you and has left you in the desert. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness. You will be satiated. You will be filled. And there will be a well of water springing up, overflowing and abundant.